Ladies and gentlemen, most people wait for motivation to strike before they act. They wait until they feel ready. But what if I told you that waiting is exactly what's holding you back? The truth is, success doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who force themselves to act, especially when they don't feel like it. Discipline beats motivation every time. Because motivation is fleeting, but action creates momentum. And momentum builds results. If you're tired of falling behind, if you're done watching opportunities slip through your fingers, it's time to stop negotiating with yourself. It's time to stop waiting for the perfect mood or the right moment. This is about taking control over your choices, your schedule, your future. This is about becoming the kind of person who does the work, no matter how you feel. Force yourself to get things done and watch your life begin to change. Success doesn't come to those who sit around waiting for the perfect moment or the right mood. It comes to those who take action even when they don't feel like it. That's the true strength of pushing yourself to get things done. Now let's explore why this mindset is so important. In life, there are things we want to do, things we need to do, and things we must do. The things we want to do, those come easy. We don't need much motivation for them. But it's the necessary and obligatory tasks that often demand extra effort. Think about it. How many times have you delayed something important simply because you weren't in the mood? Maybe it was starting a healthier lifestyle, outlining a business plan, or making follow-up calls. We've all postponed tasks we knew were important. But here's a simple truth. Successful individuals do what others are unwilling to do. They act despite discomfort, despite resistance. To be clear, this isn't about pushing yourself to the brink of burnout. That's not productive. What we're talking about is building the mental strength to do what's necessary, when it's necessary, whether you feel up to it or not. This kind of discipline functions like a muscle. The more it's exercised, the stronger it becomes. And with that strength, your ability to accomplish more grows. It becomes a cycle of consistent growth that fuels success in all areas of life. Let's take a practical example. Suppose your goal is to start a business. You know you have to write a plan, study the market, maybe pick up a few new skills, but each time you sit down to work, distractions creep in. You check your phone, scroll through social media, or find other ways to delay. This is where discipline steps in. You must make a deliberate choice to stay focused and follow through, even when it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's tough. But that discomfort, it's the cost of progress. It's the price you pay to move closer to your goals. Now, some of you may be thinking, but I've tried forcing myself and it didn't work. Ask yourself honestly, did you truly try, or did you only think about trying? There's a big difference. Forcing yourself isn't about internal debates, it's about action. It's about doing what needs to be done even when every part of you would rather not. Self-discipline isn't something most people are born with, it's a learned skill, something that improves with practice. Start small, make your bed each morning, even when you don't want to. Do a short workout, even if you'd rather skip it. Read a few pages before bed, even when you're tired. These actions may seem minor, but over time they add up. They strengthen your discipline, and as that grows, you'll find yourself ready to take on bigger challenges. So what are the rewards of building this habit? Most obvious is that you actually start achieving your goals. You move from daydreaming to real progress. But there's more. When you consistently follow through, you build trust with yourself. You show yourself that you can commit and deliver. This builds confidence, an essential part of success. Additionally, when others see you consistently taking action, they begin to view you as dependable. You gain a reputation for following through, for producing results. In business and life, that kind of reliability is invaluable, but perhaps the most powerful outcome is what it does for your inner sense of control. When you know you can act regardless of how you feel, you become unstoppable. You're no longer ruled by your moods or outside distractions. You're in charge. Now, some of you may still wonder, isn't life supposed to be enjoyable? Why should I force myself to do things I don't want to do? The answer is simple. Life becomes enjoyable through progress, through growth, through the pursuit and achievement of goals. And that journey often involves doing things that aren't always pleasant in the moment. Think of it this way. A farmer may not always enjoy rising before dawn to tend the fields. A student doesn't necessarily look forward to late night study sessions, but both do what's required because they understand the value of the outcome. An athlete doesn't always enjoy tough training sessions, but they go through them because they understand the link between short-term effort and long-term achievement. That's the essence of pushing yourself to get things done. It's about having the foresight to look past immediate discomfort and focus on the bigger reward that lies ahead. Now, let's talk about how to develop this ability to push through resistance. The first step is clarity. You need to be clear about your goals. Know exactly what you're aiming for and why it matters to you. When your why is strong enough, you can get through almost any how. Write your goals down. Be specific. Instead of saying, I want to be successful, say, I want to build a business that earns $100,000 in its first year. Instead of I want to be fit, say, I want to run a marathon in under 4 hours. Once you have clear goals, break them into smaller, manageable steps. This matters because it's easier to push yourself through small tasks than to take on a big goal all at once. Next, build a routine. Set aside specific times to work on your goals. Don't leave it to chance or wait for motivation. Make it part of your daily schedule and stick to it. Here's where it becomes real. When the time comes to act, you have to make yourself start. This is often the hardest step. We tend to overestimate how difficult a task will be, but once we begin, it's usually not as bad as we imagined. So push yourself to take the first step. Tell yourself you'll just work for 5 minutes. Often starting is all it takes to build momentum. This is known as the Zeigarnik effect. Our brains fixate on incomplete tasks. Once you begin, your mind naturally wants to finish. As you work, eliminate distractions. Silence your phone, close unnecessary tabs, and find a quiet space. Focus only on the task in front of you. Let's also talk about a major challenge, the inner voice that tells you to quit. We all have it. It says, I'm too tired, or I'll do it later. That voice holds you back. Learn to identify it and override it. When it tells you to pause or procrastinate, that's your signal to push harder. That resistance is often a sign you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And growth only happens outside your comfort zone. If you're always comfortable, you're not progressing. So don't fear discomfort. See it as evidence you're moving forward. Now let's look at the role of habits. When you push yourself consistently, it eventually turns into a habit. Once something becomes a habit, it takes far less energy and willpower to do. This is the long-term benefit of forcing yourself now. You're not just completing tasks, you're training your brain to operate in a new, more productive way. Take brushing your teeth. You probably don't think about it, you just do it. That's the goal, to make essential behaviors automatic. But habits take time to form. Studies suggest it can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days to turn a behavior into a habit. So be patient, stay consistent, keep at it until it becomes second nature. Let's also address the importance of your environment. Your surroundings can support your efforts or make them harder, so set yourself up for success. If you're trying to exercise more, lay out your workout gear the night before. If you're trying to eat better, stock your kitchen with healthy options and get rid of junk food. If your goal is to be more productive, keep your workspace clean and free from distractions. Remember, willpower is limited. The more your environment supports your actions, the less effort you'll need to stay on track. Finally, let's talk about accountability. It's one thing to push yourself when no one's watching. It's another when others are aware of your goals. Share your goals with someone. Find an accountability partner or join a group. When others expect you to follow through, it becomes easier to stay consistent. Now you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting others down too if you don't act. Let's finish by clearing up a common misunderstanding. Some people believe that if they have to force themselves to do something, it must mean they're on the wrong path. They assume that if something is truly right for them, it should feel natural and easy. But that's not how it works. Anything meaningful requires effort. It involves pushing past your current limits and doing things you don't always feel like doing. Think about any major accomplishment in history. Do you think it came easily? Do you believe those who achieved it always felt motivated or inspired? Of course not. They kept moving forward even when it was difficult, especially when they felt like quitting. This brings us to another key point: persistence. Forcing yourself to take action isn't a one-time decision. It's something you practice daily. You must do it repeatedly, even when progress is slow. Success doesn't usually come in a single breakthrough. It's built over time through consistent action. Every time you push yourself to act, even when it's uncomfortable, you're adding to that momentum. Think of it like building a wall. One brick alone might not seem significant, but when you lay brick after brick, day after day, the structure begins to take shape. Now let's consider the role of self-talk when it comes to getting things done. The way you speak to yourself has a major influence on your behavior. If your internal voice is filled with doubt or negativity, it will be harder to take meaningful action. You need to develop a more supportive and motivating inner dialogue. Instead of saying, I have to do this, try saying, I get to do this. Rather than this is too hard, say, this is challenging, but I can handle it. Shift from I don't feel like it to I'm choosing to do this because it moves me closer to my goals. Remember, your mind believes what you consistently tell it. So choose to speak in ways that build you up. Your self-talk should inspire and encourage you, not make excuses or hold you back. Let's now talk about something equally important: rest and recovery. Forcing yourself to take action doesn't mean working nonstop without breaks. That only leads to burnout, not success. You need to balance intense work with rest and self-care. Push yourself to work hard, but also commit to recovery, getting enough sleep, eating well, and caring for your mental health. Think of it like athletic training. Athletes don't perform at peak intensity all the time. They alternate between periods of effort and periods of recovery. This helps them perform better when it really counts. The same idea applies here. Work hard when it's time to focus, but also allow time to recharge. This balance strengthens your ability to show up and push yourself when it matters most. Now, let's highlight the value of recognizing your progress. Celebrate your wins. No matter how small, every time you push yourself to act, especially when it's difficult, that's a victory. Acknowledge it. That kind of positive reinforcement helps build momentum. It makes it easier to take action the next time because your brain starts associating effort with a sense of accomplishment. Don't wait for the big achievements to feel good. Success is made up of many small wins. Every time you resist procrastination, every time you step outside your comfort zone, every time you follow through. Now let's talk about identity. When you consistently push yourself to act, you're not just completing tasks, you're shaping who you are. You're becoming someone who follows through, who keeps commitments, who gets results. This identity shift is powerful. Because once you see yourself as that kind of person, your behavior starts to reflect it naturally. You begin to say, this is who I am, this is what I do, and that makes it easier to take action again and again, even when you don't feel like it. Next, let's discuss visualization. Visualization isn't just about imagining the final result, it's about seeing yourself take the necessary actions along the way. Picture yourself starting the task, staying focused, pushing past obstacles. This kind of mental rehearsal prepares your mind for success. It teaches your subconscious that this is how you operate, making it easier to follow through in real life. Visualization strengthens your commitment and builds confidence in your ability to act. Finally, let's touch on the power of systems. While forcing yourself to act is essential, you can make the process easier by building systems and routines that support your goals. For example, if you're trying to write every day, create a system where you sit down at the same time, in the same space, with everything you need ready. This cuts down on decision fatigue and reduces the amount of willpower required. The goal is to make taking action the path of least resistance. The more you can systematize and structure your important activities, the easier it becomes to follow through consistently. Now let's consider flexibility. While it's important to stay committed, it's equally important to remain adaptable. If one strategy isn't effective, be willing to adjust. Don't get stuck on one method or routine. Adapt as you go. What matters most is continued progress, even if the path looks different than what you originally planned. Let's move on to another key element, education. The more knowledge you have about your goal or task, the easier it becomes to take action. Take time to understand your field, your objectives, and the work required. When you understand why something matters, it's easier to stay motivated and push forward. Now let's talk about deadlines. Setting deadlines is a powerful way to create urgency. Without a clear time frame, it's easy to delay or drift, but when you set a firm deadline, even if it's self-imposed, you give yourself a structure to work within. The key is to treat your own deadlines with the same seriousness you'd give to those set by someone else. Commit to meeting them. This builds trust in yourself and strengthens your discipline. Next, let's look at passion. While passion alone isn't enough, it can certainly help. When you care deeply about your goals, it's easier to push through resistance. Tap into that passion. Remind yourself why you started. Let that drive help carry you through the harder moments. Now let's talk about measuring progress. Tracking your progress is vital. It does two things. It helps you see how far you've come, which can be incredibly motivating, and it helps you identify where you need to improve. Your system can be simple, like a checklist, or more advanced, like a spreadsheet. The point is to clearly see the impact of your efforts. Another important factor is momentum. When you consistently force yourself to take action, you build momentum. And momentum is a powerful force. Think of it like pushing a heavy object. At first, it takes a lot of effort to get it moving, but once it does, it becomes easier to keep it going. That's what happens with your goals. Each task completed, each small win adds to your momentum. The more you act, the easier it becomes to keep acting. That's why the first step is so important. Even if it's small, start where you are. Then take the next step and the next. Over time, that momentum will carry you forward. Let's also talk about focusing on the process, not just the outcome. It's easy to get caught up in results, especially when they seem distant. But focusing only on the outcome can feel overwhelming. Instead, concentrate on the process. Stick to your routine. Complete your daily tasks. Trust that if you keep showing up and doing the work, the results will follow. This mindset shift can make it much easier to stay consistent. You're not stressing about a distant goal. You're simply committing to what needs to be done today. That consistency is where real progress happens. Lastly, let's address self-awareness. Understanding yourself is critical when it comes to pushing yourself to act. Know your patterns. Learn when you're most productive. Recognize your strengths and areas where you tend to procrastinate. The better you understand your own habits and energy levels, the better you can create strategies that work for you. Self-awareness allows you to work smarter, not just harder, and makes it easier to stay disciplined over the long term. When do you find it easiest to take action, and when do you struggle the most? What are the excuses you tend to fall back on when avoiding important tasks? The more you understand your own behavior, the better prepared you'll be to take action when it matters most. Use this self-awareness to your advantage. If you're more productive in the mornings, schedule your most critical tasks then. If you often procrastinate on specific types of work, develop strategies to counter that habit. Now, let's talk about the power of commitment. When you're fully committed to something, it becomes easier to act because you've already removed the option of quitting. There's no debate, no hesitation, you've decided. And once the decision is made, your energy can go toward execution instead of internal conflict. Make strong, clear commitments to yourself. Don't say, I'll try, say, I will. That level of clarity and resolve makes it far easier to follow through, especially when motivation is low. Let's explore another critical point, resilience. Forcing yourself to take action won't always be easy. Challenges, failures, and setbacks are part of the journey. That's where resilience plays a key role. It's your ability to recover and keep going despite difficulty. It's about standing up when you fall and continuing forward even when progress feels slow. Build your resilience by reframing challenges as opportunities to learn. Train yourself to see failure not as the end, but as valuable feedback. And most importantly, keep going regardless of how many obstacles you face. Next, let's consider the role of gratitude. It might seem unrelated, but practicing gratitude can make it easier to stay disciplined. When you appreciate what you have and recognize the opportunities in front of you, your mindset shifts. Tasks feel less like burdens and more like privileges. Start a daily gratitude habit. Be thankful for your strengths, your chances to grow, and even for the struggles that help shape you. Gratitude can fuel motivation by reminding you what's at stake and why your efforts matter. Now, let's revisit your environment. It can either support your actions or make them harder, so take control of it. Surround yourself with people who uplift and challenge you. Design a workspace that minimizes distractions and maximizes focus. Remove anything that tempts you to avoid your priorities. Remember, willpower is limited. The more you can design your environment to support your goals, the less willpower you'll need to stay on track. It's also vital to prioritize self-care. Forcing yourself to take action doesn't mean neglecting your well-being. In fact, the opposite is true. When you're sleep-deprived, poorly nourished, or stressed, it becomes much harder to stay productive. Make self-care a non-negotiable. Sleep well, eat nutritious foods, move your body, and manage stress. The better you take care of yourself, the more energy and focus you'll have to do the work that matters. Now let's return to a key principle, positive self-talk. Your internal dialogue plays a massive role in your ability to act. If your thoughts are constantly critical or doubtful, it becomes harder to find the motivation to push forward. Train yourself to use empowering language. Instead of, I have to do this, say, I get to do this. Instead of, this is too hard, say, this is challenging, but I can handle it. Speak to yourself the way you speak to someone you believe in, because your mind listens to your words. Make those words helpful. Another practical technique, break large tasks into smaller, manageable steps. Big goals can feel overwhelming, and that overwhelm can lead to inaction. The solution is to simplify. Break your goal down into steps. Focus on just one step at a time. When you reduce the size of the task, you reduce the resistance. Suddenly, it becomes easier to begin, and starting is often the hardest part. Let's now highlight the power of routine. A strong routine turns effort into consistency. When you build routines around your most important tasks, you reduce the need for constant decision-making. You start operating on autopilot. Create routines for your high-value actions, then commit to them. Over time, those routines become habits, and once something becomes a habit, it takes much less effort to follow through, even on tough days. And finally, let's return to accountability. It's one thing to push yourself when no one is watching, but it's something entirely different when others know your goals. When you make a public commitment, find an accountability partner or join a mastermind group. Share your goals and intentions with others. When someone else is expecting you to follow through, it becomes easier to take action. The pressure of accountability can turn intentions into consistent results. Now, let's highlight something just as important: celebrating your wins. Every time you push yourself to take action, especially when you didn't feel like it, that's a win. Recognize it, celebrate it. These small celebrations reinforce the behavior, making it more likely you'll do it again next time. They also build confidence and boost motivation, giving you energy to keep going. Next, let's revisit visualization. Visualization isn't only about seeing your end goal. It's about mentally practicing the steps it takes to get there. Picture yourself taking action, overcoming resistance, and sticking with it. When you do this consistently, you train your subconscious mind to see those behaviors as normal. And that mental rehearsal makes it easier to act in real life. Another critical aspect: learning from others. You don't have to figure everything out on your own. There are countless people who've already walked the path you're on, who've mastered the skill of consistent action. Learn from them, read their books, listen to their talks, absorb their methods, then apply what resonates. Standing on the shoulders of those who've gone before you helps you reach higher, faster. Let's talk again about persistence. Taking action isn't a one-time choice. It's a daily practice. You must show up again and again, even when progress feels slow. Success isn't sudden, it's the result of consistent effort over time, the sum of every moment you chose to act, even when you didn't feel like it. Now consider the role of purpose. When you're clear on your deeper why, it becomes easier to push through the resistance. Connect your tasks to your greater purpose. Remind yourself how each small step supports your bigger vision. That clarity can power you through the hardest days. Here's something that may seem unexpected: the importance of forgiveness. There'll be moments when you fall short, when you don't follow through. What matters most is how you respond. Don't waste energy criticizing yourself. Instead, practice forgiveness. Learn from it, reset, and recommit. This allows you to recover faster and stay on track. Let's move to patience. While consistent action is key, results often take time. You must be willing to stay the course even when change isn't immediate. Trust the process. Be patient with your progress while remaining persistent with your efforts. Flexibility is also essential. While discipline is important, being too rigid can hold you back. If a strategy isn't working, don't be afraid to adapt. Try new approaches. Adjust your methods as you grow. What matters is not how perfectly you follow a plan, it's that you keep moving forward. Now, let's talk about your mindset. Your beliefs about yourself and your abilities shape how you show up. Cultivate a growth mindset. Believe that you can learn, improve, and strengthen your discipline. See challenges as opportunities, not as threats. With this mindset, it becomes much easier to take on hard things and stick with them. And once again, remember the role of rest and recovery. High performance doesn't mean nonstop hustle. In fact, without proper rest, your productivity and discipline will suffer. Balance intense focus with intentional breaks. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, and mental recovery aren't optional. They are what allow you to perform consistently over the long term. Finally, let's address one of the most powerful ideas of all: the power of starting small. When a task feels overwhelming, the best thing you can do is take the smallest possible step. Don't wait until you feel ready, just begin. Starting small lowers resistance, builds momentum, and proves to yourself that you can move forward. When you're building the habit of taking action, even when you don't feel like it, it's often best to start small. Force yourself to complete one manageable task each day. As your confidence and momentum grow, gradually increase the difficulty and complexity of your actions. This gradual approach helps you build consistency and reinforces the discipline of showing up even when motivation is low. Now, let's discuss the value of tracking your progress. When you're holding yourself accountable, having a way to measure your efforts is essential. Use a journal, a simple checklist, or a tracking app to log your daily actions. Make it a habit to review this regularly. Seeing tangible progress is motivating, and it helps highlight areas where you might need to push yourself further. Another important factor is your physical state. Your energy levels and overall health significantly impact your ability to stay disciplined. Take care of your body. Exercise regularly, eat a well-balanced diet, and get enough sleep. When your body feels strong, your mind is better equipped to stay focused and disciplined. Let's talk about language, the words you use to describe your tasks and goals. The way you talk about your responsibilities has a powerful effect on your mindset. Choose empowering language. Instead of, I have to do this, say, I choose to do this. Instead of, this is going to be hard, say, this is a challenge and I'm ready for it. Speak in ways that reinforce your confidence and commitment. Now, consider the role of preparation. Often the biggest barrier to taking action is simply getting started. Preparation makes this easier. Take time to get organized before diving into a task. Set up your workspace, gather your materials, and plan your steps. This small act of preparation lowers resistance and helps you begin with clarity. Another often overlooked aspect is managing your energy, not just your time. It's not about how many hours you have in a day, it's about how much focused energy you bring to each task. Learn to identify your peak energy periods and schedule your most important tasks accordingly. Take short breaks, move your body, or take a quick nap when needed. These small adjustments can make a big difference in your ability to stay productive. Let's return to the power of identity. When you consistently take action, you're not just completing tasks, you're reshaping the way you see yourself. You're becoming someone who follows through, who delivers results, who stays reliable under pressure. Embrace this new identity. Tell yourself, I am someone who gets things done. I am disciplined and dependable. As you internalize this, your actions will naturally align with it. Now, let's consider curiosity. Approaching tasks with curiosity instead of dread can shift your entire mindset. Find something interesting or challenging in what you're doing. Ask questions. Look at tasks from new angles. Curiosity turns ordinary tasks into chances for learning and personal growth. Let's revisit your environment. Your physical surroundings can either support or sabotage your efforts. Create a space that helps you stay focused, keep your workspace clean and organized. Remove distractions. Add visual cues like quotes or reminders that keep your goals top of mind. Design your environment to support your best self. It's also essential to practice self-compassion. Discipline doesn't mean being harsh. You can push yourself while still being kind to yourself. Acknowledge that staying consistent takes effort. Celebrate your intention to improve. Speak to yourself with the same understanding you'd offer a close friend. That balance of kindness and discipline is powerful. Now, let's address feedback. Feedback, whether from others or from your own self, reflection is key to improvement. Force yourself to seek it out regularly. Pay attention to what's working and what's not. Adjust your strategy based on what you learn. Feedback isn't criticism, it's guidance for growth. Finally, let's revisit the power of deadlines. Setting clear deadlines helps create urgency. Without them, it's easy to procrastinate or delay. The key is to treat self-imposed deadlines as seriously as those set by others. Respect them, commit to them. Use them to drive action and build consistency. Setting deadlines for yourself is a powerful way to hold yourself accountable. When your goals are open-ended, it's easy to delay or get distracted, but a clear deadline creates urgency and focus. Make a habit of setting deadlines that are realistic yet challenging. Then, most importantly, treat those deadlines with the same seriousness you'd give to commitments made to others. Stick to them, honor them. That discipline builds trust in yourself and accelerates progress. Now, let's talk about the role of pleasure in getting things done. While discipline is essential, it helps to find joy in the work whenever possible. Look for aspects of the task that you can enjoy. Maybe it's the satisfaction of completion, the chance to improve a skill, or the feeling of progress. When you can associate even a part of the process with something positive, it becomes easier to stay engaged and follow through. Next, let's emphasize the value of focusing on the process, not just the end result. It's natural to want to see outcomes quickly, but focusing too much on results can be discouraging, especially if they take time to appear. Instead, focus on the steps, the routines, and the daily actions. Trust that consistency leads to results. Concentrate on showing up and doing the work, and let the outcomes take care of themselves. Now, consider the impact of your social circle. The people you spend time with influence your mindset and behavior more than you might realize. Surround yourself with those who inspire, encourage, and challenge you. Seek out individuals who are driven and growth-oriented. Their presence can elevate your standards and help you maintain your momentum. In conclusion, forcing yourself to get things done isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about building mental strength. It's about developing the self-discipline to follow through even when it's uncomfortable. It's about choosing to lead your life intentionally rather than being controlled by moods or circumstances. Taking control of your actions is how you take control of your future. When you consistently choose discipline over delay, you create progress, you build confidence, and ultimately you become the kind of person who gets things done. The difference between where you are and where you want to be isn't motivation, it's action. And the only way to bridge that gap is to force yourself to move, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you take control of your future. This isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up. Because if you can master the habit of pushing yourself forward, especially when it's the last thing you want to do, there's nothing you can't achieve. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop waiting and start winning? Then let's go. Force yourself to get things done and watch your life transform.